Hello and welcome to this primary election debate for Republican candidates for Arizona's Superintendent of Public Instruction. This debate is sponsored by Clean Elections, the state's nonpartisan voter education agency. My name is Danielle Lerner and I will be moderating today's debate, and we are sharing this debate as part of an effort to support democracy in Arizona through a partnership with the Citizens Clean Elections Commission, the Arizona Media Association, and Reister. It is a partnership designed to make these debates accessible to everyone in Arizona. So that means this debate and dozens more between now and November will air on a long list of local TV stations, radio stations, and digital platforms, including support from local newspapers. It is a shared effort between hundreds of local media brands all across Arizona. Now, the format of this debate may be familiar to you, and we have tried to keep the rules simple. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to make an opening statement, and the same for a closing statement. Candidates have drawn straws to determine the order of each of those portions of this debate. Now, throughout the debate, we will pose questions to each candidate, allow them to answer, and then make sure the other candidate does have a chance to respond. Whenever a question is directed to a specific candidate, only that candidate's microphone will be open. At all other times, every microphone will be open. And thank you to voters across Arizona who have submitted questions for this debate. We've reviewed all of them to make sure every voice is heard. However, no candidates have been given advanced access to any of those questions. And with that, let's now introduce the Republican primary candidates for this debate. We have Thomas Horn and Kimberly Yee. Mr. Horn, you have the first opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm the only one in statewide elective office who's fighting for the normal against left-wing craziness. For example, I'm in court fighting to keep boys out of girls' sports. I am fighting hard against critical race theory and diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. And if you can believe it, my opponent was on a committee, was a member of a committee that promoted DEI. So that's a big issue between us. She's been denying it recently, but you can confirm it. There's irrefutable documentary evidence at therealkimyee.com. The reporters that were at last night's debate checked it, and they wrote that what I was saying was true. On school safety, I've increased the number of police in our schools from 117 to almost 500.
Mr. Horn, your minute is up. We will get to more of those issues in just a bit. But Ms. Yee, your opening statement, you have 1 minute.
I'm Kimberly Yee, and I'm running for State Superintendent of Public Instruction because Arizona families deserve an education leader who will not only follow the law, protect school choice, and advance academic achievement, but also be able to bring that competence, not chaos, to the Department of Education. I have a long history in K-12 public education policy. Back in the 1990s, I helped write the early school choice laws with charter schools, and I worked for 2 governors to advance school choice as well as vocational education. As the former Senate Education Chairwoman, I expanded ESAs for low-income families, and I put forward academic standards to increase those in our classrooms. We need a leader we can trust. That's why 4 former state superintendents of public instruction have endorsed my campaign. They know that we have a background of wonderful students across this great state, and they need a leader we can trust.
Thank you, Ms. Yee. Now, tonight's debate is focused on how each candidate would lead Arizona schools. And so we look forward to hearing about policies and plans and your leadership experience. And so with that in mind, I'd like to start with the Arizona Auditor General's report released earlier this week, raising some concerns about oversight and administration of the state's ESA or school voucher program. Mr. Horn, as current leader of the Department of Education, what do you want voters to understand about how you are running the ESA program, your leadership of this program?
Right. Well, the Auditor General criticized a number of government agencies, not just ourselves. And the Auditor General wrote that for dollars at risk, in our case, it was $86,000. In the case of the Treasury under my opponent, it was $68 million. So there are problems. No one's perfect. There are problems in different agencies, but as far as problems that the Auditor General pointed to, they're much worse in the Treasury than they are in the Department of Education.
When it comes to the ESA program, though, is there room for improvement? And if so, how would you do that?
Yes, we're working very hard toward perfection. We do it the best we can now, but we're very involved in artificial intelligence. And when that comes online, pursuant to the work that we're doing, we will achieve perfection. In the meantime, we can't because we have the amount of staff that was calculated for 11,000 students, and we have over 100,000 students, and the legislature has not given us the money to expand our staff. So we've had to use risk-based auditing. But we will reach perfection, and we're working very hard on artificial intelligence to do that.
Ms. Yee, you have been outspoken as far as how the current administration is handling the ESA program. So
May I have a rebuttal?
Yep.
Because he did make some misstatements.
Sure, you have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, the ESA audit did show that there is complete chaos in the Department of Education with respect to the management of the ESA program under Tom Horn. And with respect to his allegations of the Auditor General's report for my office, I would like to correct the record. Because as you know, the state treasurer manages over $64.7 billion. So when you take a look at the Auditor General's report, it was regarding reconciliation of our office's numbers to the Department of Administration's numbers. And $68 million in comparison to the total cash flow that goes through our office is 0.22%, which is less than 1/4% of total dollars that go through my office. That's much less than what was mishandled under the leadership of Tom Horn in the Department of Education.
So when it comes to the ESA program, when you say mishandled, what specific changes would you implement to manage the program differently?
Well, recently, as you'll note in the Auditor General's report, there was $10 million that was allocated for administrative purposes by the legislature to the Department of Education. And the Auditor General's report showed that rather than hire those who would manage the ESA plan accordingly for greater efficiencies, for money out the door faster to those families, he decided to use those dollars for a vanity campaign for television ads. And that did not put money into administrative purposes. Those are ads that advance his face on television.
Okay, Mr.
I need
Horn,
to respond to that. Yes, the Auditor General had the reference to the $10 million in a draft, but took it out in the final one. She was looking at an older draft because the legislature specifically instructed me to use that $10 million for advertising of ESAs. That was their instruction to me. I had to use it for that. Otherwise, I would have been going against the legislature. So she's badly misrepresented that.
So I want to get back to managing the program. So Ms. Yee, are there specific safeguards you would put in place or different things that you would be doing if you were in this role?
Yes, and I've already started working on that in my role as state treasurer. As you know, the state treasurer by law manages the contract, the vendor, the marketplace for which these expenditures are purchased. And that platform really needs to be updated so that we have new technologies, perhaps some AI designs, those that weren't in place at the time we bid for this contract in the past. And that might mean the same vendor that we currently use with new technologies. It may mean other vendors. But that contract should be going through the state treasurer's office, and I'm preparing that already with a request for information. It's called an RFI. And so for those purposes, I believe that we can have a greater ease for those families to be able to purchase those education-related items and make sure that when those items are purchased, that there is clear accountability on what those purchases are so that they will flag what is defined as educational versus what is not.
And you said accountability there, and that leads into my next point about transparency and oversight in the ESA program. Mr. Horn, do more safeguards need to be put in place or guardrails to ensure that that money is going where it should be?
Actually, when I took office, I established guardrails. I said every expenditure needs to be for a legitimate educational purpose and a reasonable cost. And some of the parents were upset about that. They thought they should be able to get whatever they wanted. So they asked for a $5,000 Rolex watch, $24,000 golf simulator. I denied all those things. And they complained. And a state senator Jake Hoffman took their part and said he would recruit someone to run against me on that issue, and he recruited my opponent on that issue. And in the article that was written based on an interview just after she announced she was running, she said that I did not have the authority to deny what the parents wanted, that they knew what was best for their children. That means she would have paid for Rolex watches.
Not true.
And I think that's wrong.
Ms. Yee, your response to that?
Absolutely not true. And I said that at previous debates in the past. This particular individual likes to twist words. And clearly, I would not authorize a non-educational expenditure such as a Rolex watch. I've said it over and over again. What I did say was that the Superintendent of Public Instruction in his current capacity is overstepping the law, because these types of decisions with respect to what is considered and defined as educational expenses is done by the legislative authority. So the legislature defines the law, they pass those laws, and the role of the state superintendent is to administer those laws, not overstep it and create policies on his or her own. And that is something not only that I follow as an executive in a state agency of my own as state treasurer, but I was formerly in the legislature when we were passing early laws for ESAs. We want to protect this program and make sure that a bureaucrat within the Department of Education who is not elected, who may work for the superintendent or the superintendent himself, is not going beyond the laws that are defined for the ESA plan.
And Mr. Horn, your response
yes,
to that?
Yes, if you're going to deny a Rolex watch, you have to do it right away. You can't wait a year for the legislature to act. The reporters that were at last night's debate checked it, and they wrote that I was right, that in that article, she said I did not have the authority to deny a Rolex watch. And I think that would subject the whole system to not be able to survive, because people won't stand for her allowing a Rolex watch to be paid while waiting for a legislature to act in 1 or 2 years.
So what can be done within the superintendent's authority then to ensure, again, that the money is going where it needs to be? That's within the scope of this position. Ms. Yee?
Well, again, as I have already started the process, we do need to have updated platforms so that we have a system very similar to, say, a health-related system, where if you have a health savings account and you swipe that card, you as the customer might think that contact lens solution might be authorized under that expenditure, but the system does not, so they will deny that purchase upon that swipe. We don't have that in place with respect to the platform right now. The flags are not there. They need to be there, and that's what my role as the state treasurer in my current capacity is moving forward to do, is to create a more updated, better technological platform that creates these measures so that immediately upon an anticipated purchase, that the system would know whether or not that is an educational item or not.
Now, we have more than 100,
say,
real quick, this question, we have more than 100,000 students now enrolled in the ESA program. Yeah. And so my next question was for you, Mr. Horn, as far as the future of this program, should there be a limit on how big it can get, or, what do you see for the future of this?
That's up to the parents. If parents feel their child is being served well in the local district school, I was a product of district school. My 4 children were products of district schools and did very well. That's up to them. But we have a family, for example, that has 3 children, 2 of whom are doing just fine in the neighborhood district school. But one of whom, the needs are not being met. So they found another school that met that child's needs. And I don't understand how anybody could say they don't have the right to do that unless they're so immersed in ideology that they forget about the needs of the students.
Yeah, Arizona certainly has one of the largest school choice systems in the country. And so I'm curious, Ms. Yee, we'll start with you. Do you think that private or charter schools that are receiving public funds through ESA should be held to similar standards?
Charter schools are public schools, so they don't receive ESA funds, but private schools do and home schools do. And the question is whether or not they should be receiving ESA funds?
No, do you think if they are receiving ESA funds, should they be subject to the same oversight and accountability as as public schools, traditional school districts?
First of all, I believe that school choice, as we should be so proud of in Arizona, because we are a leader and we have been a leader for 30 years now on the school choice front, from charter schools to home schools to private schools to tribal schools, micro schools. These are wonderful, and to public schools. I mean, they are on the menu as well. I am the product of a public school system here in Arizona, and they continue, to be part of that wonderful menu of school choice options. And parents deserve those options, because every school choice that they make uniquely fits their child's needs, and that is their opportunity for all. So when we talk about homeschoolers, a growing homeschool population, as you can imagine here in Arizona with our wonderful families, but also our private schools, the question is whether or not they should be put under the same government regulations as the public district schools and the public charter schools. And the answer is that they wouldn't be private schools or homeschools if they were under this exact same rules. And then you would also just eliminate the beauty of what school choice is all about, because each individual school choice opportunity should be uniquely different. And with respect to accountability, that's already there, because if a private school is not meeting the needs of those parents and those families, they close down, as any private organization would. And with respect to homeschool families, many of them, as you know, are children with disabilities who better homeschool in a setting such as that. And that's why we see so many of our ESA families of children who have disabilities, and this is where they thrive.
Mr. Horn, your thoughts on the school choice system here in Arizona?
Well, the state has never gotten involved with private schools, and there might be First Amendment problems if they did that. For that reason, the legislature decided they would be treated differently. We would not interfere with them. The parents would be the judges as to whether it was their child's needs were being met or not.
One of the other, if not the biggest issue with education right now in Arizona is our ongoing teacher shortage, reaching crisis levels. We've been seeing this for several years now. So what can you do in this role to help fill the gaps on so many Arizona campuses? Mr. Horn, we'll start with you.
Yes, every year I address the state of education at the legislature. And every time I do that, I tell them that we have to increase the pay of our teachers, and we can do that without affecting taxes, because there's plenty of money in the land trust. And the other thing we need to do is we need to pass a law to encourage administrators to support teachers on discipline. Too many administrators are too lax. They, a child misbehaves, they say, "You poor darling, it's not your fault. You come from a tough family," or whatever. No, actions have to have consequences. And a number of teachers have written me. One teacher wrote me and said she could name 40 teachers that left because the administrators didn't support the teachers on discipline. That was the Phoenix Union High School District. And so I tell them those are the two things we need to do to hold on to our teachers and to attract new teachers. We have to raise teacher salaries, which I've been fighting for all my adult life. I did that as a school board member as well. And we need to provide incentives for administrators to support our teachers on discipline.
Ms. Yee, your thoughts on how we can improve the situation surrounding our teacher shortage?
Well, this is personal to me because I am the daughter of a public school teacher who taught for 38 years in our Arizona public schools. And so when we take a look at how teachers are having to go to garage sales to pick up their own out-of-pocket purchases for school supplies, it's wrong. And so we need to be able to bring them the supplies that they need that goes right down into the classrooms to meet the teachers' needs and those students' needs. And that goes right back to how we fund our schools with respect to the breakdown from the administrative level to the classroom level. I believe we need to move more money from the district administration office to the classroom. This not only meets those needs of families for their students, but also for those teachers. And we absolutely should address teacher retention, because between the first and third year of a teacher's first experiences within that classroom, they need to be able to navigate that, and it could be very stressful. They have a lot of burdens on them, and what we don't have in place are mentor teachers from the assistance of the Department of Education, bringing mentor teachers to those districts, to those teachers who need that early help in those very early years. But of course, we have to also address the funding. And that's something that Arizona has not met in many years with respect to getting to scale what the teachers need for their salaries. And as we see inflation and our money, is really just going out the door with gas prices, with the price of food, these teachers will leave these professions because they are not getting the needs that they need for the classroom, the supplies, but also for their own families.
Now, when it comes to teacher pay and funding for education, the superintendent doesn't directly set teacher salaries, doesn't set the budget, but you can influence education funding and also prioritize policy. And so, going forward, what specific actions can you take in this role to get teachers more money, higher salaries, so that they stay in the classroom? Mr. Horn, we'll start with you.
Yes, well, I've been lobbying ever since I was on the school board for higher teacher salaries, and I do it now every single year when I go to the legislature, and I do everything I can to persuade them to increase the teacher salaries. They can do it without raising taxes because of the money in the land trust. So that's something I've been devoted to my entire adult life. My opponent is mistaken in saying we don't provide people to help the teachers. We call them coaches. We provide as many as the legislature will fund. We lobby the legislature to fund more because we have studies that show that kids learn to read faster if they have coaches supplied to them by the Department of Education. And so we do our best to expand the number of coaches, but we are doing that.
And Ms. Yee, I'll give you a chance to respond to that. I believe did you say mentor teachers? Is that different than the coaches that are currently in place?
Well, this goes back to the status quo. And my opponent is okay with the status quo. He's created the status quo. But we see that teacher retention needs desperate help. And so while he says he has coaches that are supposed to assist with these early in years teachers, it's not helping, apparently, because the teacher retention rate is a huge problem in Arizona. And we see so many other states coming to recruit these wonderful teachers to go to another state. And we have to address the issue through proper funding. And as I run the endowment for the state land, it's called the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund. In my time when I first started as state treasurer, we had about a $4 to $5 billion value. I have increased that to over $10 billion in value. So the funds from Proposition 123, as distributed from the land trust to K through 12 education, represents about 93%. And to give you an example, in one fiscal year, we allocated $445 million to the K through 12 education system. That can go to our wonderful teachers for increased pay.
So Prop 123 seems to be something that you agree on that should be moved forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's go a little bit deeper into the issue of support on campuses. You both mentioned that support for teachers, support for students. When it comes to in the classroom, what roles do social workers or school resource officers or counselors play in our schools and in our districts? Mr. Horn?
Well, for the students to be able to learn, they have to feel safe. So I've been big on school resource officers, which is police in the schools. I've advocated for the schools to ask for police in the school. We pay for it based on money that we get from the legislature. And we're lobbying hard at the legislature now to increase that because, as I mentioned, when I took office 3 years ago, there were 173 of them. Now we have over close to 500 police officers in the schools. But due to my advocacy, the schools have been asking for more. And if the legislature will not increase that amount, which we've asked for, and there's a bill pending to do that, then if a maniac invades a school and kills 20 kids, and it's a school that asked for a police officer but didn't get it because the legislature wouldn't give us the increased funding, that'll be quite a tragedy. So I advocate very hard for that.
Missy, your thoughts on the roles of social workers, guidance counselors, all of these additional positions?
I've been a long supporter of the school resource program for many years. In fact, it goes back to the time where I was actually staffing the Senate Education Committee. I was a research analyst, again, back in the 90s to the early 2000s, and I staffed that school safety resource officer committee. Later, when I was elected to the state legislature, I co-chaired that very committee for school resource officers. And one of the things I wanted to change in that was that we had so many of these schools on wait lists to have an SRO that we didn't have enough funds to be able to have every school have an SRO. These school resource officers are wonderful complements to a school because they not only provide that relationship and partnership with those students, they will often know when a fight might happen, in a middle school at that hour, at that location, and they'll stop it because the kids get to know who that school resource officer is. And they build that relationship. They used to have something called law-related education as well, but I wanted more of those, particularly those school districts in our state that weren't always first in line for some of these SRO grants. And so I wanted to move those school districts that couldn't afford a lobbyist to know when that grant was coming up to be able to write that grant. They didn't even have grant writers. I wanted them to have a fair deal in the SRO funds as well. So we changed it so that we would be able to do that. And of course, when I was a state senator, I sponsored bills to increase the SRO funding. In fact, there was a $12 million bill that I sponsored and passed and was so proud of because even during that time, we had a shortage of the number of SRO officers available for the schools that wanted these wonderful people on their campuses. And so we were able to bring in retired individuals who were formerly in law enforcement to be able to establish those relationships to fill that shortage need.
Now, this does kind of lend itself into the conversation surrounding behavior in classrooms on campuses, and that potentially being one of the reasons that teachers are leaving schools. So what, if any, influence should the Superintendent of Public Instruction have when it comes to student discipline? Ms. Yee?
Well, it's important for the State Superintendent of Public Instruction to have that platform to discuss these very important issues because classroom discipline will absolutely affect how a teacher instructs that classroom, whether or not there are distractions because of maybe one or two children who are in the classroom during that time. It affects the rest of the class and their academic, year. So we need to address that right off the bat by working with our school districts and our charter schools across the state to be able to address that, give them the needs that they are desiring, whether or not it is an additional assistant or aide within the classroom to be able to address, maybe two problematic issues or students within the class and take them aside while the teacher continues to teach. I mean, there's so many things that can happen, but that's why we have our local school districts. And those governing boards decide on the details of what that school district will do within that classroom. To have an advocate from the state superintendent's office is the one to work with the legislature to provide laws that will support additional needs that teachers will have regarding discipline. And again, there are a lot of things that we can also encourage families to do. And one of the things, because I'm a mom and I talk to lots of families, there are a lot of parents that no longer go to teacher conferences. And so if you don't engage that parent within a one-to-one conversation with the teacher, perhaps the parent doesn't even know the extent of what that disciplinary issue is within that classroom setting because they're not even showing up for that classroom engagement with the teacher.
And Mr. Horn, what are your plans going forward to help with some of the behavior challenges that our campuses are facing?
Well, I'm continuing to advocate for bills to encourage administrators to support the teachers. As I mentioned, I got a letter from a teacher saying she could name 40 people who left because at Phoenix Union High School they weren't getting the support from the administrators. I served 24 years on my local school board, 10 years as its president, and during that time we never reversed a teacher on discipline one time, not once. We became known as the toughest district around. Our learning went up, our test scores went up, and I'm advocating for that to be true of the entire state.
Now, Arizona consistently ranks toward the bottom for school funding, as we've been talking about funding some of these positions and helping to get more funding for teacher pay and all of that. So the question I have is, would you advocate for more funding, which I think, yes, you both mentioned Prop 123, but are there ways we can adjust our current funds? Let's say we don't get more funding. Can we adjust the current funds and how they're being spent to better support our school communities. Ms. Yee?
Well, I think there are lots of ways that we can move money around, and I'm someone who understands fiscal management, not only in an executive leadership capacity as the current state treasurer of Arizona, but I have real results coming out of my office. For instance, when I started on day one as state treasurer in 2019, we had $15.4 billion in taxpayer funds. Today, we stand at $32 billion. We have doubled the assets under management in just these under 8 years. So my understanding of how budgets are run at the school district level, it's run by the governing board. And so we really need better engagement, for instance, between the State Department of Education and those local governing boards. That's how I run my office currently. I manage local government funds. So I meet regularly across the entire state of Arizona, all 15 beautiful counties. And I meet with mayors. I meet with local council people. They are the ones who are managing their local budgets. But you can't do that with a phone call. You need that eye-to-eye engagement, that relationship, that partnership. There's a level of accountability there when you establish that relationship. And I've done that with all of our cities and towns across Arizona. We need to do that with our local school districts by meeting with those local governing boards and those elected individuals. Once they are elected, I would invite them to come to the Department of Education to learn about all of the budgeting needs, the management, from line items to the property taxes, even to ethical leadership. I mean, these are wonderful things that the Department of Education can supplement to what is currently happening to build that budget to where it's greatly effective within the local school district and, of course, for the state.
Mr. Horn, how would you make the most of the funding that we have for education?
Yes, we did a study that showed that the school districts that spent less on administration and more on teacher salaries did better academically than the districts that spend more on their administrators. In my school district, we took half of the people in the district office and we sent them back to the classroom. We were spending 2.5% of our budget on administration, on the central office administration. When I got in the legislature, I tried to get a bill passed to limit the others to 5%. I thought if we could do it for 2.5%, they could do it for 5%, and they'd have more money for their teachers. But the inefficient districts had too much political pull, and we couldn't get it through. But I continue to advocate and produce studies showing them if they'll spend more on their teachers' salaries and less on administrators, they'll do better academically.
You mentioned testing scores there. Arizona students continue to struggle in reading and math proficiency. And so going forward, what are some actionable steps that can be taken to try and bring those scores up? Mr. Horn?
Yes, well, I have a number of initiatives to improve our academics. I must say first, we're at the bottom of the heap on funding, but we're in the middle, according to the NAEP, National Assessment of Students. We're in the middle. It's not where we want to be, but considering that we're at the bottom with the funding, I think some of the criticisms maybe aren't warranted. But as I said, I continue to advocate for the schools to spend more on their teachers' salaries and less on their administrators.
Ms. Yee, your thoughts on how we can improve that proficiency?
I think the study that the superintendent was trying to remember was a National Educational Progress Report, and that's the NAEP study. And this is a snapshot of where Arizona compares to the rest of the country. And while he says we are in the middle, he is only discussing math at probably the 8th grade level. In reading, in 4th grade, we have a problem. In fact, we are at the bottom, where if you compare national levels of assessments in the area of reading in the 4th grade, we are below the national average. And that's something we have to focus on in the classroom. I believe we can get there for reading based on phonics instruction. And that's how you learn to read, when you sound out the words. Many of your viewers probably tonight learned how to read based on phonics. And that is the old school approach, but it works. It's proven. It's scientifically based. And I would not only help teachers understand that phonics-based instruction works for reading in those early grades, but to make sure that our universities in Arizona, ASU, NAU, U of A, as a member of the Board of Regents, I would absolutely endorse phonics-based instruction in those early years when those teachers are students in those universities. So they are absolutely ready when they get into the classroom to teach those young children in those early years in their literacy.
Mr. Horn, how does phonics-based instruction differ from what's happening now?
Not at all. Actually, it became the law that all instruction had to be phonics in 2008. So since 2008, the schools have been required to teach through phonics. And last night, I challenged my opponent to find one school in Arizona that is teaching in some method other than phonics. She won't find one. All the schools in Arizona are teaching phonics because that's the law, and that's the way we're administering it.
Your response to that?
Well, first of all, I helped write the laws that we have on phonics-based instruction. I was a staff member for the Senate Education Committee, and I brought in experts from around the country to establish what our Arizona laws are. John Huppenthal, who was a former state superintendent of public instruction, who has endorsed my race as well, he was the chairman of the Senate Education Committee when I brought these experts on. And the answer is that while we have this on the books, it's not being administered in the classroom as it is on the books. And there is, again, going back to the okay with the status quo, we're okay right now. We're not. The reading scores on the assessments show that our fourth graders are not meeting the national average in reading assessments. And phonics-based instruction is the way to go. Yes, it's the law, but it's obviously not being taught at a measure, at a standard that we need to get to pass these tests, to help students understand how to read proficiently, not just how to read, but how to read proficiently. Because if they don't meet that literacy standard in their earlier grades, it will continue to decline over their upper grade years. And that's where we see graduation rates decline. And we have a graduation rate issue that we have to address because we are also under the national average when it comes to graduation rates.
And real quick, your response that phonics-based instruction is not actually happening. Your response to that?
It is happening, and I challenged her to find a single school. I challenged her last night to find a single school that wasn't teaching by phonics. Now, we are, and she said, well, we want to bring phonics to the schools. The fact is they're already there. She just doesn't know it. Now, we do work very closely with the schools to use the best methods of phonics. In fact, we have the power to approve or disapprove their curricula if they have all the elements of phonics. And so we work very hard on that, and we're expanding good phonics programs. But to say that she wants to bring phonics to Arizona schools is contrary to what the fact is. There is no school that is not teaching phonics.
Okay, one last rebuttal there, and then we'll move on from phonics. Did you want to respond to that?
Well, I know for a fact that there are schools who might not be following the law. And we can see that because they have kids who are not reading. And there is something, and look it up, viewers, it's called whole language. And that's the easy way to get by with teaching reading, and it's showing them pictures. And it's not showing them the real way to sound out the phonemes within a word to help them understand how you read a word, how you do traditional spelling tests. Those are the things that we used to call the old school approach of teaching, and I want to get back to the basics. And I also would love to be able to work with the State Board of Education to be able to find what those solid phonics-based curricula are and put them on the website, have recommended resources for them to be able to have school districts and charter schools be able to say, hey, I'm not using that program, but it seems to be working because all of these other states are passing their reading assessments. And that's where we haven't gone, and I believe we should go. And I bring those fresh new ideas to this position.
They're already on our website, the best phonic programs, and we use our power to approve curricula to get the schools to use the best ones.
Okay, we can stick with instruction, but we're going to move on from phonics. I'd like to talk about English learners. The state's mandated English-only instruction. The original law was passed more than 20 years ago now, and so my question is this still the best way to instruct English learners, and why? Ms. Yee?
Yes, I fully support the 2000 proposition, and again, it's over 25 years now when it passed, but it really did take a look at where are our English learners and where can they be when they are not speaking English as their first language. And the law required them to have 1 year, full immersion and to be able to understand that language efficiently but proficiently. And it's very important that we continue to stick to the law that was passed by Arizona voters overwhelmingly, all while taking a look at individual needs of those children. And teachers know best how to instruct those children. In fact, my mother taught in South Phoenix for 38 years in school districts that had students who didn't have English as their first language. And she got them to read in one semester. So by Christmas, they were able to read. This is something that can work if you have a good teacher in the classroom who does engage, these individual needs for these children. But again, following what our proposition did back in 2000.
And Mr. Horn, is our state doing enough to support English language learners?
We are, other than the 10 districts that are violating the law. The law says we use structured English immersion, and there's a good reason for that. When I took office the very first time, we had bilingual everywhere. And the rate of kids becoming proficient in English in 1 year was a pathetic 5%. At that rate, many of them would never master English. They'd fail in the economy. I started enforcing the law, and we brought it up from 5% to 31%. So we proved that English immersion is the best way for kids to succeed academically, and bilingual is not the best way. Once they become proficient in English, I'm all for them learning other languages. But the first thing they have to do is become proficient in English. And I've been fighting in the courts to try to get the 10 districts that are violating the law to follow the law. But the rest of the state is using structured English immersion. We have a fabulous administrator who teaches the teachers how to do structured English immersion. And I'm also doing a lot to enforce the law and get the schools to be sure to comply with the law and use structured English immersion and not bilingual education.
When it comes to what's being taught in our classrooms, is there a place for social emotional learning? Is there a space for that in our classrooms?
Well, it depends what it is, but the way it's been used, I think it's not good. My predecessor, who was a Democrat, that was her big thing, social emotional learning. My heroes are English teachers who love English, history teachers who love history, and so on. They came to me when I was elected this time and complained that under my predecessor, because of the doctrine of social emotional learning, when they want to be teaching their subjects, they had to play what they described as dumb games with the kids. So I said, no more. The teachers should be teaching their subjects bell to bell. Every instructional minute is precious. And I think those teachers are very happy about that change.
Missy, your thoughts on social emotional learning in our schools?
Well, it's not just social emotional learning, it's also DEI. And, that stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And these are things that distract from the basics, which are reading and math. And to get back on the subject of DEI, because in my opponent's opening statement, he made an allegation that is truly false, saying that I was not only on the DEI committee of the State Treasurers Association. He said that I was the chairwoman of that committee. Well, first of all, he knows that he is lying because he was sent this letter from the National Association of State Treasurers naming every single committee for which I have served on. It's dated May 4th, and this does not list any DEI committee for which I have served. I have fought, in fact, against those types of issues that distract from real representation on merit, because I believe that an individual should advance based on their skills, on their experience, on their merit. And I have pushed forward with our Republican majorities in the state legislature bills that would ensure that we don't use these types of DEI policies to advance state employees for hiring, training, or promoting. So the allegation is untrue, and I wanted to make sure our viewers understand that. And also to correct the record because there was no rebuttal period.
Sure, and we did cover that off the top, and I'm going to have to rein us in a bit.
No, I do want to say something about that.
Well, one of the rules was that we were not supposed to have props today, and so I'm going to have to say we can't continue along that line of questioning. We covered that in the beginning, and we're not supposed to have props on the podium, so I'm going to redirect us now. We can keep with the topic of DEI.
So I presented one.
I understand.
And people can see it on the real.
And now we're even, so no more props on the podium, please.
Right.
We can continue to talk about DEI, however, because I know this is a big issue in our schools. And so my follow-up question would be, are there specific programs or practices when it comes to DEI that concern you? Mr. Horn, you can go first with that one.
Yeah, I think DEI is a terrible thing. Your listeners can go to therealkimyee.com, just as the reporters did, and wrote in their stories today that what I was saying was true and what she was saying was not true. She was on that committee.
Okay, we're talking about DEI in our classrooms, though. So are there certain
Yes.
programs or practices happening in classrooms in Arizona that are particularly concerning to you?
Yeah, it's very concerning because I think the most interesting philosophical divide in our country today is those who believe in individual merit, as I do, and those who believe in racial entitlements. And the problem with racial entitlements is they don't do anything to encourage hard work, conscientiousness, or creativity. So if they win that philosophical fight, which I'm very involved in, and have been since 2008 with critical race theory, if they win that, we'll become a mediocre country, and the Chinese will be the power, and they'll be calling the shots, if you can imagine a world like that. We have to emphasize individual merit and not what race people come from. It's not relevant to anything what race they are, but in DEI, they keep pushing race. You have to have equal results by race regardless of merit. And that's totally wrong. We need to emphasize individual merit so that we can be an achieving country as we always have been.
Now, given our diverse school communities across Arizona, what sort of cultural programming would be appropriate in our classrooms?
Do I get to answer the same question, or we've moved on to a different question?
Well, you can answer if there are certain programs that
Yes.
I had asked that originally, so we
Okay.
can go back to that.
Yes. Well, with respect to DEI programs in our schools right now, they really need to be reined in because as I have fought, as the state treasurer, I've led an effort with other state treasurers around the country to show that those corporations in America that do hire based on DEI policies alone are not efficient. They are actually devaluing their company. And so it puts a state treasurer like me in a position to warn those private corporations that are putting DEI first that we will no longer invest in them because their effectiveness as a company, their value as a company is not showing forth because they're hiring people not based on their experience and their background and their effectiveness, but just based on who walks in the door based on that policy. And so if that decreases the value, then we have to, eliminate them from our list of investments. In the same way, we have to take a look at what is happening within our schools. And these types of policies are not effective. I would like to have this time in the classroom talking about civics in government and the engagement of character education so they understand, what it will be like to grow up and to deal with real issues that matter in the workplace.
You mentioned workforce development. We've been
Yes.
talking about industry. Arizona quickly becoming a hub for companies, particularly in the tech sector. And so should workforce development or career readiness initiatives play a role in K through 12 education? Ms. Yee?
100%. I have long been an advocate of vocational education, otherwise called career technical education. We have wonderful JTEDs in our state, Joint Technological Education Districts, all around the state. There are waiting lists for so many of these wonderful, programs. But I would like to bring back home economics and shop classes into our schools so that a student doesn't have to travel on a bus to get to a JTED. This is what we used to have in schools, and they've done away with them. I want to bring them back because it's so important for our young children to not only engage in vocational education, but these are life skills. For instance, in home ec, you learn budgeting and financial education and how to balance a checkbook. These are skills that you need to have when you graduate from high school, and they're no longer there. We also need to put more money into our schools with partnerships and business, because what's happening is we have shortage areas. For instance, welders are needed in every area in Arizona. And so in order to help teachers in those classrooms where there are shortages, especially in rural Arizona, I would engage with something we call alternative pathways to teaching. And that brings in, for instance, a retired welder into the classroom. They may not have teacher certification, but we'll have a certified teacher on premise at that time when that person is not only teaching the great skills that they need for welding to those young students, but we will have the ability to bring those qualified professionals into our classrooms in a way that would be not only meaningful, but absolutely needed in a growing state like ours.
Mr. Horn, your plans when it comes to CTE programs?
Yes, I've greatly expanded career technical education. We have a program called the Student Industry Partnership. What happened is, when I first took office, CEOs said to me, they have a shortage of skilled labor. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I can supply you with skilled labor because we have 1,200,000 kids. In return, you will teach our career education teachers what skills are needed to get a well-paid job with your company right out of high school. And so they accepted that. And we have 40 of Arizona's largest companies involved. We divided the state into 11 different parts, and we did a traveling roadshow. And if a company wanted to hire from a particular area, they came there and they met with the career technical education teachers and administrators, and they told them what skills they need to teach the kids so that they can get a well-paying job with their company. Some of these companies, like the technological companies, can give very good salaries to kids right out of high school if they have proper career technical education training, and that's what I'm pushing very hard. I doubt that home economics gives you those skills to get a well-paying job after high school. But my goal is every student, without exception, graduates college or career ready. And so no student graduates from high school without being able to get a well-paid job. If they're not going to college, they need to get a skill that the companies say are the skills needed to get a well-paying job with their company.
We have talked a lot about what needs to change in education. So my final question here, what is working well in Arizona education, and how would you build upon that?
Well, I have a lot of initiatives. I ran out of time in my opening statement, but one of the things is that the people in my department worked with the bottom 5% of schools, and now 80% of the schools are no longer in the bottom 5%. We adopted a school in a neighborhood that had high poverty. People from my department went there every week, and we raised their math scores in 1 year by 27%. We have other programs. One of them is, I'm looking for my notes here, tutoring. When I took office, my predecessor had used federal money, given it to institutions that wouldn't improve their skills. So I clawed back that money. I made some enemies, and we put it into tutoring, and I made tutoring available for free to any family in Arizona who wanted it. And that was a great program. We had a number of kids that in one 6-week tutoring program made 6 months progress. We have leadership training programs where people in our department are training teachers to give the kids the right skills. And those were so popular, we asked them would they recommend it to the other teachers, and 99% said yes. So they got oversubscribed. We had to greatly expand the program. They taught principals and superintendents in leadership skills, and they taught students
I hate to cut you
teaching
off.
skills.
We're getting tight on time. I want to make sure Ms. Yee has a chance to answer that question about what's working well in Arizona education, and then we'll move right to closing statements.
Well, I think the viewers can see this evening that there's a clear contrast in how the view of the world is on education in Arizona. And I've spoken to so many families across my visits to all 15 beautiful counties in Arizona, and education is not doing so well, as according to the current state superintendent, who says everything is okay. Well, the answer is everything is not okay. That's why we need a new superintendent of public instruction to be an advocate for not only families, but for schools, for public schools, for charter schools. What we are doing well are so many wonderful things within our schools that we have to showcase. I mean, let's just talk about U.S. News and World Report. The #1 high school in America is right here in Arizona. It's Basis North Tucson. And that's something where they are doing innovative approaches to teaching those students how to best meet their needs in the classroom. And so we need to showcase the great leaders, our principals, our teachers, and those districts and charters across Arizona.
I hate to cut you off. I want to make sure you each have time for 1 minute closing statement. Mr. Horn, you can go first.
Yes, I didn't say everything is fine. I talked about our having numerous initiatives to improve academics, but it's not in the dumps the way some people say. Actually, Many of our schools are doing very well compared to the fact that we are at the bottom in terms of financial aid. I'm urging our listeners to go on therealkimyee.com and see that I'm telling the truth about her membership on the DEI committee, and also about the fact that she said that I did not have the authority to deny Rolex watches. And I think it'd be a bad situation when we start spending education funds on Rolex watches.
Ms. Yee, your 1-minute closing statement, please.
For 30 years, I have been fighting for Arizona students. As the former chairwoman of the Arizona Senate Education Committee, I expanded ESAs for low-income families and increased academic standards. And as the state treasurer of Arizona, I earned and distributed over $2.3 billion for Arizona schools and have managed over $20 billion in our state treasurer funds with integrity and honesty. And that is why 4 former state superintendents of public instruction have endorsed my campaign, because they know that we need someone who will protect school choice, someone who will raise those academic scores, and someone who has the competence, not the chaos, that we need to manage the Department of Education. In business, if you hire someone who does not meet performance standards, you fire them. And that is what this primary is about. I am Kimberly Yee, and I am equipped and ready with fresh new ideas for this position.
All right, thank you so much. That is all the
time.
time that we have for this primary debate with Republican candidates for Superintendent of Public Instruction. On behalf of our partners at Clean Elections, the Arizona Media Association, Reister, and Sneaky Big Studios, thanks for joining us.